What is up, folks? Welcome to another Budgetmonk video here, where this is going to be yet another Byzantium strategy video. As you can see in my current game, it is the year, just past the year 1500, and I have officially become a great power as the nation of Byzantium. Pretty typical circumstance. I do have a lot of debt, but my economy has just dramatically improved after my first victory over the Ottoman Empire. And yes, it did take this long to actually be victorious over them. So this was a little bit of a different game here. As you can see, I'm actually really quite influential in the Caucasus region, and there's a reason for that. I also happen to have Serbia as a subject who has a significant amount of reconquest available. But probably the most crazy thing about this is my current diplomatic situation. As you can see, I have Hungary, Austria, Muscovy, and the Mamelukes. All of which, with the exception of Muscovy, will actually help me in an offensive war, and that is how I managed to defeat the Ottomans. But the Ottomans, even though they're technically more powerful than me, are just going to be absolute food for me going into the future. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on with this video. This is unfortunately a little bit of an RNG strategy, but nonetheless, I hope that I can raise some awareness for this approach and that it benefits you guys. Alrighty, as this footage was about 3 hours worth, guys, I usually try to condense this stuff down, and I'm trying even harder this time to make this actually a short video. So this is going to consist of a lot of fast forwarding here, but also some cuts. First state of affairs is going to be to actually improve relations with this nation here, which I'm probably mispronouncing, the nation of Emirati, and we're going to actually be seeking an alliance with them as seeking the royal marriage, which is what we're actually gunning for, is more difficult to obtain. But the alliance is going to help that. Now, of course, for those of you who don't know, this ruler of this nation begins at a very elderly age of 60 plus, and they do not have an heir. Typically, Georgia will actually inherit them. And what we're going to go ahead and do is grab a royal marriage with them, and that's going to allow us to have a succession crisis, as Byzantium will inherit and Georgia will be attacking over their throne if this nation does in fact die. So that's pretty much the main gist of this strategy here, guys. Honestly, the RNG aspects are that things work out accordingly, that he doesn't get an heir, and, for example, that the Ottomans do not attack you. In my case, the Ottomans actually attacked Albania, who was allied to the Pope, as well as his guarantee from Venice, and the Pope actually called a crusade, and the Ottomans, they did lose. It was not a devastating loss, but you'll see what happens here. So there we go, we inherit a personal union over Emirati, and we are now at war with Georgia. I'm going to go ahead and continue, and obviously, combined, I can defeat the Georgians. So we did actually get really lucky here with our RNG because the Ottomans are distracted and they got the union. But we're going to go ahead and fully annex Georgia because, of course, now that we have a subject over here in the Caucasus region, that's going to allow me to be able to actually core up his provinces. I do have to do them one at a time, as we can only core up provinces which border our subject, but that's going to be perfectly sufficient. So yeah, as you can see, the Ottomans do actually lose to Albania. It's not a devastating defeat, but we do have two provinces returned to us, two of our core returned to us. So talk about a really good game. But as you can see here, the Ottomans are actually a valid rival, which is really cool. I'm able to grab Hungary as an alliance here, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is continue to improve relations with the Ottoman enemies. And that's how we actually end up with such strong diplomacy. Integrating Athens there, as you can see, I've inherited two other provinces, and we're basically going to use this time to expand over in the Caucasus region, where we now have a lot of opportunity thanks to our expanded borders. There's a lot of easy pickings out here. Even some of the more powerful nations like QQ, for example, can actually often be defeated if they are at war with some of their neighbors. Of course, the stepped hordes, similar way. Crimea, for example, was actually allied to the Ottomans, which is pretty typical, but he was also allied to Jandar, and the Ottomans actually declared on Jandar, which allowed me to declare, I believe I declared on the Crimea, something like that. I don't recall exactly the details, but what I do recall is I was able to actually swindle a province from Jandar, whilst the Ottomans were fighting them, even though the Ottomans had actually warned me. As you could see, I had prepped claims, and I think I go in here. I know it's moving very quickly, but I go in against Jandar here, and of course the Ottomans cannot honor their guarantee, if you will, because they warned me when they are at war with them as well. But typical stuff, going in against Trebizond, annexing them, Theodoro annexing them, and doing just about anything I can. And the main reason, of course, is to try to maintain the Ottomans as a rival. Taking a jump here into the future, a long ways into the future, where you can see I've just casually been expanding out in the Caucasus region, maintaining the Ottomans as a rival for all this time, being at 100 plus relations with even the Mamelukes, for example, acquiring them all as allies, and then we're, of course, going in just like to be expected. The force comparison is extremely strong in my favor, extremely strong, dramatically outnumbering them, as you can see here. And that's pretty much it. I'm also integrating Emirati, however you pronounce them, as it's been that long. I did manage to diplo annex Serbia, who is a one-province minor, as you can see. And it's funny because Serbia defeated Albania prior to being crushed by the Ottomans, and the Ottomans took Albania from Serbia. So the Serbians are currently a one-province minor, but of course they have their entirety of Serbia and the starting cores that they have in Hungary to be reconquested, but also their cores in Albania. So they have many cores because they begin with one core from the Ottomans and Skop. I shouldn't even bother try to pronounce that province name. But the point is, because we're using our own Reconquest CB, I'm able to use the return core province option rather for free in the peace tab, and that means I'm able to return cores to Albania. So this is a hugely nice and beneficial war to be fighting. Obviously he's also our rival, which means power projection. So yeah, it's an interesting game, pretty straightforward standard stuff. Again, it did not originate with me. I've seen a lot of people been doing this, but people always request for help with Byzantium, and I thought I'd just make a quick video throwing it out there. Definitely an option and a way to go to PU Emirati. So with that being said, the rest is history. I could continue on with this game if I like, or not, because I'm up to other things. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm definitely going to try to be more active with more unique videos on my channel here. I'm actually working on stuff right now, and I hope you stick around in the future. Thanks for watching.